Subtropical deserts. Subtropical deserts are the hottest of deserts. They are located in the subtropical zone 25 to 40 degrees north and south of the equator, right on the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Major of subtropical deserts include the Mojave, Sonoran, and Sahara Desert.
The key characteristics of subtropical deserts. Subtropical deserts in the Köppen climate classification, which in this map shows the letter key codes of that represents all of the biomes. Subtropical deserts denote as BWH, B standing for the B group of dry climates, W standing for deserts and subtropicals, and H standing for subtropical. As you can see, this whole list of the B group of dry climates, they all share similar characteristics. They're all arid and they're all dry. Subtropical deserts are the hottest of all of these dry climates because they are the most arid, the most dry, and also closer to the equator than most of these dry climate biomes. They're also located in the middle of the tropics and temperate zones. These are the temperate zones, the tropic zones. They are located right in the middle, which means they have less clouds, which leads to less insolation and less rain. I'll get further into it. These regions shaded in red represents the subtropical zones, right between the tropical zone and the temperate zone. What happens over here is all of the warm air comes from the tropical zone. The colder air comes from the temperate zone. They converge and then they diverge. When they diverge, this divergence of two drastically different temperatures, they increase surface temperature. Now this increase of surface temperature, prevents all of the water from rising and condensing into clouds. Now, this basically means higher surface pressure means less or no clouds. And as I mentioned in the last slide, clouds provide many things. And, well, most importantly, no clouds or less clouds means less rainfall, so drier soils, less vegetation. Less clouds also means, well, clouds provide insulation, they stabilize the temperature. Humid countries, they have potential to reach very, very, very high, which are around, So humid countries, which are around here, they have potential to reach very, very, very high temperatures, except they have many, many clouds from all that humidity, precipitation. They have many clouds to stabilize their temperature, and so they're not as hot as deserts are. Deserts have a very wide range of temperatures, and this is because they have no clouds to stabilize all of that temperature. And so that's why, less precipitation means higher and lower, basically a wider range of temperatures in not just a year, but a day.
Global distribution. Subtropical deserts are located in the subtropical regions, that is, area above the equator but not near. Typically 25 to 40 degrees north and south of the equator, which is right around the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Some of the major locations of these deserts are the Sahara, Mojave, Sonoran, and Namib. This is the exception of deserts farther from the subtropical zones. These deserts are similar to subtropical deserts called mid-latitude, as they are located farther from the equator in middle latitude regions than their subtropical cousins.
Climate zones. Countries exposed to both the tropic and temperate zones become deserts. The farther away a country or region is to the equator, the drier and often colder it will be, and the closer it is to the equator, the more humid and rainy it is. Deserts are often located in the middle of it all. The only exception of this pattern is the Gubon Desert in East Africa, which is located very near to the equator. I'll be talking about this anomaly of the Gubon Desert located right on the equator, just over here, that little orange dot in East Africa, later on. Climate zones and biomes. Subtropical deserts are often located in the subtropical regions and higher pressure belts. Higher pressure belts, which are around tropics, Cancer, and Capricorn. Just a little above that, so around 40 degrees north and south of the equator. And higher pressure belts. Lands with higher vulnerability to aridity and dryness, typically areas near the subtropical zones, are where the hottest deserts are located. The exception of the Taklimakan and Gobi deserts, located around 40 degrees north, and so are considered both mid-latitude and subtropical deserts. This is because the average temperatures in those deserts often match the common subtropical deserts closer towards the equator. From these two maps, you can kind of see where most of the subtropical deserts are located in the subtropical zones, as I explained in this map. It is the fact that deserts cannot exist very close to the equator. Deserts are hot but very dry places, which means they cannot form in such humid areas. But an exception of this rule is the Gubon Desert, located in East Africa, which is right over the equator. The Gubon Desert is often cloudy, yet still has desert characteristics. This may be because of its links to the Sahara Desert or the overuse of its resources that has caused it to dry out. The Gubon Desert is right over here in Somalia, East Africa. As you can see, it's right over the equator. The equator is right here. Now, this may be because, as mentioned, the influence of the Sahara Desert or the overuse of its resources. The spatial relationship between precipitation and subtropical deserts. This is a map showing the amount of precipitation. This is a map showing the amount of precipitation and rain in certain lands. It is measured in centimeters of rain per year. As you can see, the regions near the equator are shaded in darker blue, meaning that they receive more rain per year compared to those shaded in white. So these areas in the middle, right on the equator, they're darker blue because they're more humid. They receive more precipitation, more rain per year. All these drier areas receive less rain. Comparing this same map to the global distribution of the subtropical deserts, we can see that almost all of the drier regions match the same regions shaded in red in the map, showing the locations of the subtropical desert biome. So all of these regions shaded red are the same regions, or mostly the same regions shaded white around these areas. So higher aridity would mean fewer clouds and less insolation. This is why subtropical deserts can reach temperatures as high as 40 degrees Celsius in the day and minus 10 degrees Celsius at night.
Plants in the subtropical deserts. The type of plants growing in the subtropical deserts include grasses, shrubs, and succulents. Mostly low-growing plants. They grow very slowly, and when they do, they grow at very short lengths. These plants have long evolved to survive with a lack of water and moisture and thrive short to avoid high wind speed typical in subtropical deserts. The coastal deserts, or outer region of the subtropical deserts, as mentioned earlier, have a lot of fog, and because deserts are very arid, especially in inland regions, people use water nets to collect the water from the fog to distribute to the hotter deserts. These nets catch on average 10,000 liters of water a day. An example of animal that lives in subtropical deserts can be jerboa, a kind of small animal that looks like mini kangaroos. They tend to live in hot deserts, commonly found in Sahara deserts in North Africa. In the extreme weather of subtropical deserts, jerboa survive by burrowing. To keep cool, they burrow underneath the desert's sand to more humid soil to escape the heat of the day and come out to forage at night. Their kidneys also produce a highly concentrated urine that minimizes water loss to help them stay hydrated in the desert.